Hello my dear students, here is again your computer Wunsam, and today I will show you everything about the HTML attributes. Every single HTML file can have different attributes and you can choose what attributes they are. Attributes are necessary to give some additional information about any element, like for instance giving a specific font size, font type, or giving a specific background for the element. These attributes usually come in name-value pairs like name equals value, where the value is in quotation marks usually. To start with this, we're starting with the simplest example, or one simple example, the background color. We can say background color, then the quotation marks, and say red. I save now, and as you can see, the background color is here again red, while there is this black text. It looks a little bit horrifying. By the way, I used the text of the Jabberwocky from the famous Alice in Wonderland author, Lewis Carroll. Such poems are always good to train a little bit about your HTML skills. As you can see, if I give body the BG color red, it gets a specific attribute. We can say blue, then it is blue, or green, then it is green. Technically we can use any color we can think about. There's a possibility of multiple colors we can use, and there's also the possibility to use the hexadecimal values. So hexadecimal values are values from 00 to FF, which means that FFFFFF would be totally right. If I say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then we get such more bluish value. The reason for this is that these tags for color represent the values of 2 reds, 2 blues, and 2 greens. As you can see, we can do anything with the BG color, or we can give it a specific name. Some names work, some names don't work. Here in this case we have plum. Let's say something else like black. And as you can see, it works with anything. You can see in the internet what HTML colors work and what do not. Let's try salmon. As you can see, it even works with salmon. But this is just one example of an attribute. The next attribute I will show you is about the language. To choose a specific language, we have to choose some specific attribute for the HTML tag. So usually we have doc type HTML before this, but then we can say HTML, and then we say lang equals en. This means that the language we are seeing is now English. As you can see, nothing happened here. Even if I saved it, nothing will happen at all. This is so intended because these tags are just plainly invisible for the website in itself and are just here for navigation purposes. Another example for an attribute is using the so-called title attribute. The idea behind the title attribute is that if we use the mouse anywhere on the specific HTML tag, then we get this small tooltip in there. Let's say poem from Lewis Carroll. I nearly said Alice Little. If I refresh it, you can see that there is this little tooltip when I go with the mouse above Jabberwocky. This is also a neat little attribute we can use for this. One of the most important attributes for designing websites is definitely the style attribute. We can say style equals, then we need the quotation marks, then we can use anything you want. What I'm going to do now is using this thing and making some little lines here, because we are opening the so-called style sheet. We can use a CSS language now to make our website a little bit more beautiful. So what I can do is, for instance, change the color red, and then I have to end it with the semicolon here. If I refresh it now, you can see the color here is red. Or let's say blue to create the contrast. As you can see, it is blue. We also can change the text size in our case. Let's say font size double point 250%, and don't forget the semicolon. As you can see, that font size grew now to 250%. I can zoom out, by the way. This is how it works in my case. And in our case, we can choose any tag we want. This is not only usable here. We can do the same where we say, for instance, the first paragraph, p style equals, and then font size double point, let's say 300%, and semicolon. As you can see, now the first font has only the size of 300%, and everything before and behind only has the same values as beforehand. We also can change the color here. I formatted a little bit so it looks a little bit better. Font size, and let's say big background color double point red. Let's try it like this. Okay, nothing happened. Let's try it here. Okay, now it works. As you can see, you don't need the quotation marks in this case, because it has already these quotation marks beforehand, and if we use the quotation marks here, it breaks more or less this style attribute. We can also change the font type in our case. We have a so-called font family that represents the font type more or less. Then we can say Times New Roman, which technically doesn't change anything at all. We also can change it to Arial. Let's say it like this. And it doesn't work because I forgot the semicolon. The font has only been changed in this case. The last thing I'm going to show you is about text alignment. We can align any text by using the text align and then choose what direction we want to align the text with. Let's say right. As you can see, it goes to the right, or we can say center to put it in the center here. It's also justify, which makes it a so-called block sentence. It is for everything we can use. There are multiple ways we can use this text align tool to get the website we want to have. This is about the basics of the attributes. We're going to learn about some further basics in attributes and about style sheets a little bit later on. But until then, I can't wait to see what amazing websites we're going to create. Your Computer Wundersamm.